All right. So last year around the same time, I said to myself, okay, new year, new me, new beginnings, and all the rest of it, as we always, see on social media. And I thought to myself, let me sit down and make myself New Year's plans, goals, objectives, whatever you want to call them, and New Year's resolutions. And you know what? I even did a video about that, which I've uploaded on my channel, which you can see on my YouTube page. And I said, okay, if I'm involving people, I'm making myself accountable, and therefore there's no way that I won't be able to achieve my goals. And guess what? A year later, I'm still sitting here thinking about what happened last year and why I really couldn't achieve those goals. And you know what? This is not the story of this 1 year. This has happened with me most often than not. And what I've realized is that there's nothing wrong about a goals, objectives, whatever the name you're calling it yourself. But the trouble is that unless we don't really bring that change in ourselves, nothing can really help us to fulfill our New Year's resolutions and to meet our goals. So in this video, I'm planning to share my SMART strategy, which I'm using this year in the hope that I'll be able to achieve my goals and objectives, and so can you. Hi everybody, this is Dr. Sami Nashro. I am a PhD in marketing and full-time academic in the UK, and I'm making these videos in the hope that I'll be able to share my experience and all the tricks and tips I've learned in my journey. Alright, let's dive straight into it. Every new goal, every new objective, and every new aim is made with the same enthusiasm, same joy, and same hope that you'll be able to achieve it. But unfortunately, that does not really happen. Unless we don't really understand the why behind these goals, we're not really able to achieve them. Every single thing in our life we do, there's always a purpose, there's always a reason behind that. So yes, we are going to build a SMART objectives, or SMART goals in this video. But even before that, let's take a step back and think, why would you really like to set that goal for yourself? So in this video, I'm going to share my example of my goal in the hope that I'll be able to stick to it, and also because I'm sharing with you guys, and hopefully you'd also encourage me to do it. So my goal for this year is to be more regular in terms of my content creation. My why behind my aim of being regular in terms of content creation is that I love sharing knowledge. The things I've learned in my journey, the things I've learned through my experience, with my interaction, with the exposure I've gotten, I really want to share with the wider audience. And even when I get a single comment saying that how something I've said really has helped you, it really makes me grateful. It really encourages me to do even better and to bring you even more useful tips and tricks, but of course backed with research, which can help you in your life and your journey as well. So whenever you're going to set up any goal for yourself, the first step for that, no matter who you are, where you are, what you do in life, is understand why would you like to do that. For example, a friend of mine, she was talking to me and she said, well, I really want to be a healthy version of myself. This year is my year and I want to stay fit and I want to get healthy. I said, brilliant. That's really good. Well, but why would you like to do that? And when I said that to her, why would you like to get healthier? She didn't have any answer. Because first of all, the only thing she could think of was the pressure, the social pressure of looking a certain way. And we have to really dig deep into our minds, our hearts, our souls to see why we really want to do something in our life which we are really keen and for which we are really making an effort to make that goal and objective. Alright, so that was step one. After knowing the why of it, now let's look into what this SMART objective means. If you ever came across any kind of business studies or any kind of management studies, you would have seen that they always emphasize on the fact that you should create SMART objectives. But where did this term really come from? So in 1981, a study was published in Management Review, which is a very renowned academic journal. In that journal, George T. Doran published an article with the name that there are smart ways to create goals and objectives for the businesses, because he was of the view, and of course later on the world has witnessed that too, that businesses who are aiming to gain profit and want to be efficient in their practices need to understand the importance and the techniques to build SMART goals and objectives for themselves so that they can do more in less time. Now, SMART, of course, is an acronym where S stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So, of course, the idea of SMART goals was first coined in 1981, but it was more popularized by another author called Stephen Covey in his very famous book, 7 Habits of Effective People. In that book, he goes on to talk about how the most effective people in the world really have a strategy through which they create their goals, and that strategy is SMART. So let's dive into it to see how we can really apply that to ourselves as well in our lives to make the most out of it. So the first step in making SMART objectives is to be very specific. Now, going back to my example where I was saying that I would really like to create more content this year, that's a very broad thing. Let's narrow it down. When you say that you want to create content more regularly, it's a very broad statement. Similarly, my friend who wants to lose weight and who wants to become healthier, she also wants to tell herself that, okay, that's a broader goal. I want to be healthy this year. Brilliant. Now, how can I do it? Let me be more specific. Let me say, how much time can I spend on every day, twice a day, 3 times a week, 5 times a month, whatever is the case. This is the time I'm going to spend on this activity in order to achieve my bigger goal. So the whole idea is that you have this broader goal, which you're breaking it down into smaller, more achievable items. In my case, it's the same thing where I have the broader goal, but I'm going to break it down into smaller, more achievable tasks. The same idea is also backed by many of the authors. For example, James Clear in his book Atomic Habits talks about the fact that how much it helps one person to be more specific when they try to make their goals. Well, Peter Drucker once said, what gets measured gets managed. If we are not able to measure our performance, if we are not able to evaluate how we are doing, we are not really able to get to know our performance. It's the same thing when we study in school, college, university. We go to our classes every single day, but there's always an end loop. There's always a weekly test, a monthly test, or an exam which really tells us our performance, and they measure our learning through that activity. Similar to that, once you have the specific goal, now ask yourself, how are you going to measure it? If it's about getting healthier, you need to see how your routine is working. If it's about losing weight, of course, you will be looking at how much weight you have lost in that time, which of course you've set for yourself. In my case, where I'm talking about making more content regularly this year, for me, I need to see how much time I was able to first spend on my goal, and secondly, how many videos or how many content ideas I have published myself. And it's very, white and black. So basically, whatever the goal is, we're looking at the tangible measures, as in what can we really achieve and if you can really measure it. I really like this quote by Carol Dweck in her book Mindset, that set the goal that stretches you, but are still within reach. The third component of making yourself smart goals is achievable. I know when we sit down with our diaries, with our devices, and when we are thinking about writing our goals, we always think about doing a lot more. There's also another concept in psychology which talks about hot and cold cognition. And that means that when we are feeling really good about ourselves, we had a really productive, positive day, we had no problems at all that day, and we are really at our happier selves, we give ourselves sometimes unrealistic tasks which are not really possible for us to achieve. But when you really come back to the reality, you realize that's not really achievable in that time. Similarly, we always overcalculate the time. We always think, oh, I can achieve this. Definitely I can do that in a week. But in reality, that always takes you more than a week. For many reasons, of course, life happens, things don't always go as per the plan. So whatever the new goal is, within your life routine, within your day-to-day life, and that you're not really setting yourself up for failure. In my case, when I talk about being more regular in terms of content creation, really, I need to make sure that I can stick to it with my full-time job, with my other commitments, and of course, life situations. And on top of it, not every day is the same for all of us. Things happen, emotions, mind, body, soul. There are so many things that are happening on any given day for all of us. So whatever the goal we are setting ourselves for, let's make sure that's achievable. And then, of course, that goal has to be relevant to who you are. That goal has to be relevant to your broader mission. That goal has to be relevant to what really you want to achieve in the longer run. Actually, there's a very interesting book by Simon Sinek, and the name of the book is Start With Why, where it really emphasizes on the importance of purpose in our lives. But if that goal doesn't really align with the bigger picture of our lives, where we would like to see ourselves, what we would like to do, and of course that keeps on changing, but we always need to understand if whatever we are doing is relevant to who we are, is relevant to who we want to become. And the last one, we need to make sure that whatever the task you're giving yourself, whatever the goal is time-bound. Tim Ferriss, in his very famous YouTube video about 4 hours a week, talks about the Parkinson Law. And the Parkinson Law states, the more time we have, the more we stretch our work. And that's so true. I have seen it in myself. If, for example, I have one task to do in 6 hours, I'll make sure that I take all the 6 hours in accomplishing that one task. On the other hand, if I have the same task, but if I have 3 hours to do the same task, I would make sure that it's done in 3 hours. And sometimes it's good to give yourself that time pressure to make sure that you're efficient and you're using that time to the best of your ability and don't really stretch yourself. So whatever the task, whatever the goal you are giving yourself, whatever the goal you have set up yourself for, give yourself that time. And that is why it's so important for us to come back to those goals. So for example, you have set yourself goals today. After watching this video, I really hope you do. So you have done that today. You have to come back to it after every week. Come back to that goal and see how you're performing, how well you're doing, perhaps where you're not really able to accomplish your task which you are setting yourself up for. And keep on reviewing that, because of course day one, you might not know how much time would you need or how much time would you take to do a certain task. As the time progresses, you will realize that how the time is passing by, what you can do better, and what to add in it further. Don't wait until December 2024 and then come back to this goal that you're setting yourself up to, but make sure that you review your week, you review your month and see if you're able to follow through your goals or not. And to be honest, I'm going to do that myself every weekend. I have put that time in my calendar and I'm going to review my goals if I'm able to do that or not. And it's okay if I'm not able to do that. But I need to understand why is that? What is really stopping me to achieve those goals? So yeah, let's do it together. Keep me posted on how you're getting on with, first of all, making those SMART goals for yourself, and secondly, how you're getting on with progressing with them. With that, take really good care of yourself, and thank you very much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.